Up everyone, and welcome back to another video. And in this video I'm going to be doing this brindle just down the shoulder and the leg of this bulldog. It is sped up a little bit but not much, so you can still see what I'm doing without having to sit through too long a video. I will be putting the real-time version on Patreon if anybody is interested in that. I've not launched it yet, but I will be soon, so it's something to watch out for. You can see I've already done some brindle on the dog's body and back end, back leg, what have you. I'm working from quite a poor reference photo this time, so there's not really any air texture or anything showing on this reference photo. It were too fuzzy and what have you, so I'm just keeping it looser. And I'm just applying some base layer with this brown charcoal pencil. And they are grizzled coloured charcoal pencils. And I'll list all these supplies in description, by the way. And because they come in packs which are quite limited when it comes to colours, I'm having to blend a lot of colours together to get the colour that I want. And it's like mixing paints, which normally you'd do on a palette, but with this you're doing it on your actual drawing. And now I'm using the orange pencil to warm it up a little bit, because the colour in this reference photo weren't really true to life. The client sent me a couple of other photos, but the dog were outside in better lighting, and the brindle were a lot lighter and more orangey like, but I couldn't do it exactly the same as that because it just wouldn't have suited this picture and the light on best at dog where it's white and what have you. So but I tried to make it a little bit warmer than what it were here, because like I say, the poor quality and poor light would have affected the saturation and the colour a little bit anyway. So now you can see that I'm adding some stripes with the black charcoal pencil. And when it comes to brindle, the stripes, they're not really solid and defined in the way like tiger stripes are. You've got to be careful. Sometimes it's just some black hairs that are concentrated enough to form a sort of stripe, and they often have gaps in them and that kind of thing. Main thing is to make sure that you're following the direction of the fur growth when you're doing these stripes, because there's a lot of actual just hairs that are giving the impression of stripes. You've got to make sure they're going in the right direction to make it look like proper brindle. You don't want the stripes to be just like solid shapes and that kind of thing. A lot of people really struggle with brindle for this reason. So yeah, brindle stripes do tend to be a little bit random and irregular, and they often go like in zigzag directions, and they can vary a lot in intensity depending on how concentrated the darker hairs are. And like I said, they have gaps in them and might just stop abruptly somewhere and start somewhere else and all that kind of thing. But obviously with this poor reference I weren't getting any actual individual air texture, so it's just painting the impression of all this going on rather than painting individual airs. So in reference photo you can see there's some paler patches, and I've just fetched this flesh coloured pencil in to apply them. I use this flesh colour quite a lot in various scenarios for adding highlights and lightening other colours a little bit. It's actually quite useful, and more than you'd think for various colours in animal fur. And you can make it a little bit warmer with adding some a light bit of orange to it or something like that. Just by applying slight pressure you can almost have like an effect of like glazing with these pencils. And then I'm just using the black pencil to redefine the stripes a little bit, because they can get a little bit lost when you're doing a lot of blending with the other colours. And when I've put them in with black, I'll come in with brown and go over the top of them, because the stripes in the reference photo are actually really dark brown, but the brown on its own is just not dark enough. So I put the black in first and then I go over the top of it with brown to make them sort of look more dark brown than black. So now I need to warm it back up, so I'm just coming back in with this orange pencil and I'm just going over the top of it, but not too heavy. I'm just keeping pressure light, because I just want to have like a glazing effect like I mentioned before, just warming up a little bit, because like I say in reference photo, it just didn't seem to record the warmth of the colour at brindle. It looked a little bit washed out and a bit dull and cool, so I was just trying to keep it a little bit warmer. So again, I'm coming back in with the black pencil, and I'm just going to start redefining them stripes again because they started getting a little bit too lost again. And I'm also going to use it to just add some brindle texture and start just refining things a little bit and adding a few more sort of hairs, and because like I said, brindle looks like brindle because you can see all the little like hairs mingled with other coloured hairs and like in form of stripes and what have you. So I'm just going to add some of that with black pencil, and then I'll be coming along with the paler pencils like the flesh and orange, and I'll be adding some more air texture using them as well. Otherwise there's a lot of going back and forth and repeating processes that I've already been through, you know, like coming with the brown again over the top of these stripes and just taking off that blackness a little bit, and then coming in with orange slightly just to warm things slightly. And it's a little bit back and forth until you layer it up and get it looking the way that you want it to look. And I find there's a little bit more of this to do when I'm working in colour in order to get colours right and all that lot, so it's a little bit more a lengthy process than when I'm just using black and white charcoal. And when I'm using the black and white charcoal, it's pretty much a set process now, whereas with this, like I say, you just have to keep going and keep layering until you get it looking the way that you want it. So I'm just finishing off the details, the paler details, with this white General's charcoal pencil because it's a little bit more hard than the grisaille coloured charcoal pencils. You can just get some more defined markings and just have the last of the highlights, so to speak, but don't go overboard on this bit, otherwise you're just going to like cover all your brindle colour. As long as you only apply it lightly, it will pick up some of the colour underneath, so it'll not, well, the details that you put on will not be pure white, they'll be sort of slightly warmed up by the coloured charcoal that's laying underneath it, because it will pick it up and it will sort of like blend with it a little bit. So anyway, I think we can call this finished, and I'll show you the finished piece when it were actually completed. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!